Hey YouTube, this is TheEricVolpe, and it's time to get dangerous in our Pokemon Black and White Wi-Fi battle. This battle is against the YouTuber mudquaza. He was on the random Pokemon Zat, and he was like, anybody want battle? I'm like, sure, why not? So let's just get to it. I lead off with my Bronzor. He was off with a Sprite. Because it was mudquaza, I was really thinking here, like the whole game. So I set my rocks, set up his rocks, and I'm like, okay, even if he switches, I got Hypnosis off on anything. That's gonna be amazing. Hypnosis with Bronzor has been missing a lot lately. Alright, so I switch. I go into an expert belted physical base Infernape. To be honest, normally I prefer CB8, but with two Scarfers on my team, you really can't risk having 3 Pokemon always locked in a priority. So I go for the close combat on Gastrodon, and to be honest, I'm just like, alright, I don't want to show him I'm not choice band. Now he probably already knows. I mean, that damage was shit. Nothing. Gastrodon special bulky. So he goes for the recover. I could have, in technically speaking, continued to close combat, then gone into Vaporeon on the Scald, but it's whatever. So I go from Toxic, he goes for his, I miss, he hits his. Makes me rage well because Toxic's 90 accuracy now. I've been having really shit luck in terms of accuracy. I missed the Zen Head, but on Victory Star with Big Teeny a little while ago. That's just horrible. So yeah, he stays in, lets me get my Toxic off, and I'm like, that works perfect. Now I'm just gonna GTFO, you know? And yeah, that's what I do. So I go back on the Bronzor, because at this point, I really don't need Bronzor. It'll just be able to take a couple hits, cause a nice transition for some switches, and he goes out into his Bisharp. And this is where I'm like, okay, what's this thing gonna do to me? It's sleep, so I go for the Earthquake, and I'm like, fuck, that's my set. Well, not my set, but it's the set I run too. It's Sword Dance, 3 attacks, max HP, max attack, with leftovers. The thing's bulky as hell. It can take some Earthquakes for days. I mean, look at that. So, at this point, I'm like, alright, you're gonna Sucker Punch. It's your best move. Just gotta let you do it. And that almost kills my Bronzor. And seeing that Bronzor, even without any special defense investments, it's a very bulky poke. You know? So now, he goes into this thing, and I'm like, okay, you're gonna go for the Butterfly Dance. Alright, so instead of hoping for Hypnosis, I'm going to go straight into Victini. I checked base speeds. I'm like, alright, no matter what, I'm Scarfed, you're not. I'm going to assume you're Modest because that's the Modest sweeper. You need all the power you can get. So I'm like, you know what, I should be able to outspeed. I'll go straight for the V-Create, and it works. If that hadn't worked, I would have been in a very rough position right there. And yes, that's what she said. Alright, so that works amazing. That thing goes down. Victini's looking okay. He goes into the Gastrodon, now knowing I'm Scarfed. I'm like, okay, Bronzor, you know what, you can wall this thing a little bit. He goes for the Earth Power, hoping I'd stay in. You know, I understand where he's going from right now, but he's in the bad part, you know. I have a good minor lead going on. He's going to play some offense. That's just my opinion, you know. So he goes for the Scald, I go for the Gyro Ball, predicting a switch, actually. I was like, okay, he's going to switch into Mesprit or something that can take an Earthquake. Because I'm low HP thinking just Revenge Killing with the thing. But no, he stays in, he Scalds again! And I'm like, oh, now the Earthquake's gonna do nothing. Whoopee. So yeah, you know, I'm not gonna really bitch because it was just residual damage on Gastrodon. It wasn't really like Toxic was doing much better damage. Okay. So now, I make the switch into Vaporeon knowing I wall him. Knowing this would be my best time to wish up. Because because while he's trying to recover, I'm only taking stage 1 Toxic damage. So, yeah. Now, I'm going to predict him to predict my switch. To predict the Protect. But I start with Earth Power to me. I know, and Skull won't do anything, so I go straight for the Hydro Pump. And I believe I get a crit here. I'm not really going to argue it mattered because of how I killed the Empoleon at the end. So, yeah. So, I get a crit, and I get my wish. And then I take Toxic damage, and then I switch out. And I'm like, okay, what are you gonna do? What's the worst thing you can do to me? Huh? What's the worst thing? Grass Knot. Okay. I think that's if I had to guess, it's probably a agility thing. Empoleon. So I go for the Draco Meteor. It misses. I'm like, Draco, why you no hit? See, I've been having shitty accuracy lately. You know, it's whatever. I guess everybody has that streak of horrible luck. I've been getting a lot more lately. So he wants to see what I do. I go for a Psychic because I am Life Orb, and I was yawning. I am sorry, that is very rude. So yeah, now I go for the Draco, and I miss again! And then he misses toxic, so it's like better for me, worse for you, because now you take more toxic damage, and this will kill you. Except not really. Yeah, I should have freaking Draco'd. But you know, whatever. It's one of those games where it's like, should have, could have, would have, but didn't. So who cares? So yeah. He goes in the mist right. I'm like, I'm weakened as all hell. Let's go for the Draco media. I think I'm quicker because you stealth rocked. You're obviously not the Scarf. And he lives! I'm like, what? Really? And then he kills me off with Daysman. I'm like, cool story, bro. And yeah, I guess that was max HP, max speed, max break. Which would be interesting. I gotta look into that now. So I go into VT just to go for the Scarf U-turn. Knowing it would kill, knowing that gives him switch advantage, but with another Scarfer on my team, a priority user, and yeah, so I got on my priority user knowing anything goes into it, I have to take the priority attack. But he goes into Melodia, and I'm like, okay, Flare Blitz to the face. It's like, oh, well, here's the little kicker. If you were CB, that would have killed him. Yeah. I guess how Infernape plays, I mean, I really don't need to, like, have a not Scarf on, choice band on it. So, whatever. So, I got on the no name because he has no name, because I can never think of a name. Can somebody give me a name for this Minetrite? Please, like, I'm begging you all. So, yeah. He goes out into Empoleon, just runs because he knows I have game from there. That was an amazing game in Quaza. It was 28 turns. It was full of a lot of stall, a lot of prediction. I liked it. And so if you didn't want me posting this, I am very sorry. I did ask you. You never replied. Alright? And I know some people don't like their videos being posted if they felt it was a bad battle or if they team testing. I asked, and you never replied. So, yeah, you know, I feel I should at least have the freedom to post on that circumstance. I do, however, feel if you told me not to, you should, alright? Remember that. If somebody asks you not to, don't, alright? So I'll catch you next time. Peace.